Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This is AJ Reygadas coming at you with the Sauce Podcast every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Coming at you from the Line Studios, the S180 Productions. I'm really excited about this morning just because this is the first opportunity I'm getting out of doing these weekly podcasts where it's just going to be me by myself, right? I've been trying to schedule one of these weekly podcast sessions where I can do it by myself and kind of do a segment where, do a segment where I can pour into my real estate industry friends, new agents that have just got in the business here within this year alone. We got a ton of agents in this real estate industry right now, and we got a ton of agents that are struggling, and I figured let me do a segment where I can kind of just pour in and add some nuggets, add some tips that maybe real estate agents can tune into and take from and hopefully be able to apply towards their business. These are all strategies, things that have worked for me over the years of being in real estate. So if you're a real estate agent watching or that's planning on watching this segment later, I want you to know that everything that I go over here is something that I've either applied or worked on my business that actually works, right? This is what I believe in with the brokerage at First Choice, with pouring into the training with our agents, and it's a prideful thing for me to say that our brokerage is 100% referral base, where we have brand new agents in the industry. Shout out to my boy Kareem, one of our newest agents, has had his license for, I believe, 7 weeks now and just closed on his first sale yesterday, which was a really cool experience because no one gave him that lead. He just started applying everything that we do in our training and was able to find his own business, find his own lead, get that client in contract, and then, of course, close it yesterday. So really cool things that I'm going to go over with y'all today. I'm hoping that y'all can take something from this and learn from it. And again, there's 2 classes that I do for the real estate industry that I wrote about 5 years ago. One of them is called Building Your Business Through Referrals and Dominate Your Neighborhood. So Dominate Your Neighborhood is the class that I first started 5 years ago in this industry. And it's everything that's worked for me that I've applied towards my business that has helped me sell over 70 transactions in my neighborhood. Right? Off-market properties, double lending and doing intermediary, representing both sides and doing transactions that, like I said, off-property pocket listings, that never hit the market, being able to find those buyers just as much as I was able to find the sellers. And so really great class that if you've never been to it, stay tuned because we're going to be planning another one soon that we're working on every quarter now. And then, of course, there's the Building Your Business Through Referrals class that I started probably about 3.5 years ago. Honestly, guys, that's my more favorite class to do, just because any agent, whether you're experienced, brand new or not, you can start with these strategies and apply into your business. And so I figured, you know what, let me share some of those ideas, those tips that work for me, have worked for me, that work for my agents, and figured, you know what, let me just pour in today and share some value and what I like to refer to as lead with value. So want to get started with that. And I'll be honest, guys, I wrote down a significant amount. I got like 3 pages, and I usually never go off of this, right? I never go off of notes when I do the podcast. I like to just kind of freestyle. I know what questions I'm going to ask my guests, but because it's just me, because I struggle and battle with ADHD and staying on track, I figured I better take notes and make sure that I stay on track with what I'm going over. So with that being said, my name is AJ Reygadas. Been in the real estate industry for 12 years now, and it's been a blessing. I like to share my story just to give a perspective as to why I run a referral-based business, and it all started probably about almost 10 years ago now, where I was fairly new in the business, trying to get my business going. And, I was one of those Zillow agents chasing after Zillow leads, which, hey, till this day, if you're a Zillow agent, that's totally okay. Everyone's got their niche of line of business where they focus on and where they excel at. But at that time, Zillow wasn't a big company yet. They didn't blow up the way they are now. And I was probably started off spending about $50 a month for a zip code on the south side. I think it was 78223. and started spending about $50 a month. Was only, had 100% visibility on there, and maybe, shared it with like three or four other agents. And it worked. It worked, right? It was a lot of money was coming in. A lot of closings are coming in. I was converting leads left and right. And, then of course, shortly after, a few years later, Zillow blew up. And at that point, the costs went up. It went from spending $50 a month to upwards of $6,000 a month on Zillow leads. And the quality of the leads went down. The amount of leads that you were paying for, I should say, lead at cost went down. So it became a lot more challenging, right? And then, of course, they started, they flooded each zip code with over 30 agents that you now had to share with. And so, I was still closing deals left and right, but the one thing that I started realizing is that, man, I'm working 7 days a week, and I have no quality of life. Always had my phone just in my hand, ready to look at it, ready to respond to a text message or whatever it may be, just some type of lead. And it played a big toll in my relationship to my kid's mom, who I was with for 11 and a half years. We were engaged, had 2 beautiful daughters. And sure enough, I felt at that time that I was doing my job as a fiance and as a father by providing financially, right? And my daughter's mom worked. She still works. She has an amazing career for herself now. But it was more of like, everything that I make takes care of all the bills that we have. Her money was her money, and obviously it wasn't the right thing. I wasn't in the right mindset, didn't have the right leadership, didn't have the right, I should say, role models to look to make sure that I was running the business correctly. And sure enough, it ultimately led to our relationship ending, as far as being with each other. And, there was things that I can reflect on now that I look back on, that I just realized, man, like I was stuck. I felt like a prisoner in this system of chasing after Zillow leads. And, there'd be times where I'd be at the park with my kids on a Sunday afternoon, and sure enough, I'd get a Zillow lead where, guess what? You call and talk to the Zillow lead and they say, hey, I want to see this house in 30 minutes. And if you don't, if you can't show me, then I'm going to call the next agent that can. And that's what sucked the most out of the business. Is there were times where I would have to wrap up what me and my kids were doing just so we can open some doors and go show some houses, when initially we had made plans to go to the park or go to the movies or go have ice cream, whatever it may be. And it was frustrating. It created this sense of just guilt and I would even say fell into a little bit of depression, making a shitload of money, making a nice 6-figure income, but I wasn't happy, right? I wasn't happy. I was chasing after these leads, having to cut my commission on some deals just because they didn't give a shit about you. They didn't know you, they weren't referred to you. And so if you didn't do it, they were going to move on to the next agent. And so that's when my relationship ended. It was almost like a blessing in disguise. Sad to say, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise, because that's when I realized I wasn't doing something right. I remember having the conversation with my kid's mom and us having that conversation of ending our relationship. And I'll never forget, and I still hold on to this day, that she said something to me. She said, I never know what AJ is going to come home. I never know if you're going to be in a good mood, in a bad mood. When you're here, you're not really here. You're still working on your laptop. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. I was overweight too. I was about 50 pounds heavier, and just living a life of just with no purpose, no sense of direction other than just chasing deals. And thankfully, it was an eye-opening experience. But another thing I'll never forget is I got a phone call on a Saturday afternoon by the number 1 agent in town at the time, Dayton Schrader, and he spent an hour on the phone with me dissecting my business, asking me a bunch of questions. And it was the first time that I actually felt, man, like, this is really cool for the number 1 agent in the city to spend an hour on the phone with some random realtor that he doesn't know and just pour into him. And that opened my eyes, but also influenced me to where I started, years later, once I created a referral-based business, I started giving back to the industry. he influenced me to do what he does, which is giving back to the industry by educating, coaching real estate agents, and being a very successful business owner, realtor, father, husband. So he's that ideal person that I've always, admired and looked up to in this industry. And so it's what influenced me to start doing the classes that I do. Because till this day, I get asked whenever I do these seminars for real estate agents in the industry, man, what do you get out of this? You're not getting paid for it. You're not getting this. You're not getting that. Like, what are you getting out of it? Even in my seminars, I don't recruit. I'm not a recruiter, guys. Believe it or not. I don't recruit at my seminars. Any trainings that I do, it is with the pure intent of just sharing knowledge, tips, and hopefully this real estate agent at ABC Brokerage can apply it towards their business and excel at it. And so found my purpose with that, found my purpose and my passion. I thought my passion was selling real estate, which, don't get me wrong, I love selling real estate. But I then realized, like, no, my passion is helping others, educating others, right? Sharing some tips with another agent that I have no clue who they are, and seeing them apply it towards their business with no financial gain to get from it, but then also seeing that it worked for them and having them DM me or reach out to me and letting me know, hey, AJ, I tried that one thing that you shared at your class and it was amazing. It worked. Thank you so much. Like, that was a sense of gratitude for me to realize, like, man, I really feel good right now. I love what I'm doing, how I'm helping others, and I'm putting others in front of me, before me. It helped contribute to me becoming more humble, grounded. My ego, for the most part, left out the door, and it really taught me how to not just be a leader, but influence others, right? And so, without further ado, guys, I want to get started and start sharing some ideas with y'all. My favorite part about real estate, honestly, till this day, about when it comes to selling real estate, it's really one of the few times that I get excited is negotiating. I love negotiating. In every aspect of life, I'm always looking to negotiate something, right? I get a thrill and excitement out of it when, especially in negotiating in real estate, where, to me, in my opinion, it's like playing chess, to where, the first person that talks during a negotiation loses, and not showing your hand. And I think that is, in the past 2 years, with how the market's gotten and how it's now continuing to shift and correct itself, I think that's been one of the things that's been exposed the most, in my opinion, that I've been able to really capitalize on, is working a transaction with a real estate agent where I'm able to either leverage or negotiate with them and be able to use my skills that I've learned over the years on negotiating with them and trying to maybe asking the right questions without them realizing what answer I'm trying to get from them. So little things like that. Again, I love educating agents. I love helping agents on a transaction when I'm working a transaction with them. But at the same time, first, my fiduciary duty is to my client. So I have to do what's in the best interest of my client first. But with that being said, negotiations plays a big key, not only in your experience, but in your success at selling real estate, because then you're going to be looked at by your clientele or your database as someone that really knows how to work for their client. So that's the first thing I'll say is, when negotiating for your buyers, don't show your cards, right? One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of real estate agents make is, I'll be a listing agent on a transaction and a buyer's agent will call me and say, hey, I just showed your property. My clients fell in love with it. They want to make an offer. What is it that we have to do to make an offer to make sure and ensure that we win this deal? You're showing your cards already at that point, right? I get it. Even though your clients fell in love with the property, you want to make sure you can do everything you can to get the deal. But you never want to show your cards, right? You never want to show, I don't want to say desperation, but you never want to show how serious your buyer is about winning that property, because now you're taking leverage away from them, right? And one of my biggest strengths is not only being able to identify different types of personalities when I'm communicating with someone, but also being able to adjust to their personality, and then working on dissecting what their motive is, right? What their true motive is in the conversation. And I will say, as much as that's a blessing, that can also be a curse for me, because I'm known by quite a few people of being an overanalyzer. I overanalyze everything, guys. I was doing a CMA training with my agents yesterday, and I think I really just threw them for a loop when they realized everything I was going over was just me being very overanalyzing. And so, the same thing that works for my personal life, that's where it actually bites me in the butt, because in my personal life, I'm always overanalyzing everything. I'm always overthinking things. I'm always thinking, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to say with a negative mindset, but I'm always thinking, what's the worst case scenario in this situation, right? What's the worst thing that can happen in this situation? And so that's the first thing that I would recommend to buyer's agents, is don't show your cards. If you're a buyer's agent and you're out showing a property that your clients fall in love with, first off, don't talk about it with your client inside the house, right? I think that that's all common sense that we can all understand easily, is don't talk about how interested your buyer is in that home while you're inside the house or even in front of the house. I'm confident in saying that most of these houses that are on the market right now, they have cameras, right? And I guarantee you, as a listing agent, we're supposed to advise our clients that they shouldn't be recording without giving consent or identifying to a buyer that they're being recorded. But sellers will do it. 9 out of 10 sellers will do it. They'll never admit it. Sometimes they will admit it when they hear whatever the buyer's talking about. So that's the first thing I would say, is if you have something to talk about with your buyer after showing a property and your buyer's showing interest, don't talk about it in the house or in front of the house. You step across the street, y'all get in your cars and talk to each other over the phone, but you never want to hear the other party hear what your intentions are or your strategy is when you're making an offer, because you're just giving away your cards right there at that point. When negotiating for your seller, now let's just say you're a listing agent, right? When you're negotiating for your seller, always find out what their bottom line numbers are and work up from there, right? I'll give you an example. So recently, and I have a lot of friends on my social media that I've done transactions with. So I'm not sure if she's listening right now or if she's going to watch this, but there is this broker that I've done a couple deals with that I have enjoyed doing business with. We had just recently did a transaction together, and the following month she calls me up and she's like, hey, do you have any listings coming up in your neighborhood? A lot of agents know that I sell quite a bit in my neighborhood. So she calls me and she's like, do you have any listings coming up in your neighborhood? I have a buyer that's currently renting in your neighborhood and she's looking to buy in the neighborhood to stay there. So I told her, I was like, yes, I got this 2-story, gave her the details. And sure enough, she was like, no way, that's actually the floor plan that my client is renting right now. Is there any way we can see it? And I was just like, look, we're not on the market yet. We're not planning on going on the market for another week and a half, 2 weeks. So let me coordinate a time for y'all to get in the property and take a look at it. But I just need you to know right now that if your client ends up being interested, knowing that we are in a market, which mind you, this was several months ago, knowing that we are in a market where there's bidding wars left and right. Any house that hit the market, if it was priced right, moving ready, it was going to have a good 10 to 20 offers on it. And I already set that expectation with my seller, right? So sure enough, I told them, I was like, if your buyer's interested, you and your buyer need to understand that you're going to need to submit an offer that's strong enough to convince my seller from going on the market, right? Meaning, this is what we plan on listing for. Come at us strong. And sure enough, they did, right? They came in above asking price. They paid all the fees, all the closing costs. They gave us a free 2-month lease back. I mean, it was a really good offer that I then presented to my seller and still gave them that option. Look, guys, this is a good, solid offer, but I just want you to know right now, if we go on the market, we will get a bidding war, and there's a very good chance we'll get an even better offer. So what would you like to do with this? Sure enough, they didn't want to deal with the hassle of the bidding war and then showing the property nonstop. Mind you, it was a family of 5 that lived in this home. So it was going to be a little bit of inconvenience. And sure enough, they decided to move forward with the offer. Well, guess what? As a listing agent, when you're moving forward with an offer that on a house, a listing that never hit the market, the ball's in your court. You have all leverage at that point, right? Because if shit hits the fan, or if they try negotiating with you, all you simply got to do is say, we're going back on the market, right? Or we're going to go on the market. So sure enough, advise the broker, hey, feel free to do your inspection with your buyer, but just know, don't plan on asking us for anything, because we're not going to do it. We'll just go on the market, right? So sure enough, do their inspection, came back and actually found some solid, understandable issues with the home that they did actually come at us with some concessions, right? And I believe initially they came at us with $8,000 concession that they wanted. The roof needed to be replaced. All these things needed to be done. And so they came at us and asked for $8,000 in concessions. And sure enough, went to my seller, presented it, told them, look, worst case scenario, we go on the market, right? And we'll get what we want. Or we can entertain this offer, because I can tell you right now, and guys, please understand, this isn't cockiness, this isn't arrogance. I was just that confident that we were going to get what we wanted out of the deal. And so I told my sellers, look, I'm confident they're not going to walk away. They're asking for $8,000 in concessions. We have the leverage here on this transaction. So here's the thing that we can do. They're asking for $8,000. Maybe we counter at $3,000, right? Because it's a significant amount of stuff they were asking for that was legitimate, And so I told them, I was like, why don't we offer $3,000 in concessions, right? Sure enough, my seller was like, AJ, if you think you can pull off, and I have these clients on my social media too. He has a podcast as well, my seller. But he was like, if you think you can pull this off and get them to agree to $3,000 in concessions, then let's do it. Sure enough, I call the broker back up and start, telling her what our plan is. I actually tell her that our max is 20, and she's never heard this till this day. So maybe if she's watching, she's now going to find out. She knows who she is. But I came back and I said, look, you know where we're at with this. You know that we can easily just go on the market right now, but y'all have raised a legitimate concern with what y'all found in the inspection. So what my seller is willing to do is we're willing to give you $2,500 in concessions. Right? But that's the max. I need you to know that's the best we can do. So it's a take it or leave it. If it's not acceptable to your buyer, please send me the termination of contract and release of earnest money, right? And when you say that as a listing agent, you have to be very confident in saying that. Like, I like talking over the phone. I don't know what's up with a lot of these agents that have gotten in the business the past several years where they want to communicate through text and email. I get the idea. Some might say, well, I want a paper trail. I get that, but you can still do a paper trail based off of the phone conversation you just had. It's a follow-up. And so my thing is, I want to talk to you on the phone when we're negotiating. Damn, I'd love to talk to you in person about it. But I want to talk to you on the phone because I want to listen to your reaction and I want to try to pick you apart, to be honest. And so sure enough, I went at her and I told her the most we can do is $2,500, take it or leave it. If it's not acceptable, please send me the release of earnest money and termination of contract because we're going on the market. Sure enough, they accepted it. So now guess what? I get to call my seller back and say, hey, I know you had given me permission to counter at $3,000, but I actually held firm on $2,500. My clients were blown away by that. Right there, my client, mind you, he's in sales in the auto industry. And he was like, I need you to come and train my sales team on how you negotiate. And all I did at that point, which was common sense stuff, is I found out what my seller's bottom line number was, right? I made sure that he was okay with it. And then I countered back at something even less. And now I look like a rock star to my clients because I got them to pay less money, even less money out of pocket than they were initially going to pay. So it's little things like that, guys, that it's very simple stuff, very just thinking outside the box, but at the same time, using basics, going back to the basics when it comes to negotiating, which is don't show all your cards, you know? The best situation you can be in as a real estate agent is not showing desperation, you know, even if this is the only deal that you're working on right now, right? I get that. I've been an agent in the past where I know what it's like to just work one deal a month. And you're just trying to hold on to that one deal because you're worried that it's going to fall apart and you're going to have to start all over and you're not going to get paid in the next 30 days if this deal falls apart. But I'm telling you right now, when you stop leading with the idea of your paycheck and you start leading with the idea of value to your clients, to your database, people fall in love with you for that, right? And so that's one tip that I can recommend for negotiating is don't show all your cards, guys. Be very cautious, but be very intentional and be very strategic when you're communicating with a counter or whatever it may be. Making sure that you build rapport with your clients as quick as possible is also key, right? So when you have a referral-based business, guys, your goal ultimately is how can I make this client fall in love with me, right? I don't want to just be known as their real estate agent that just so happens to be a rock star agent or a kick-ass realtor that wins all these awards, whatever it may be, right? However good you are. I want them to know me on a personal level, right? So I add all my clients to my Facebook, and all of you that are watching on my Facebook right now, y'all see it. My Facebook, I'm not saying that I'm fake by any means. I think that that's one thing that I pride myself on is just being very genuine and being real. What you see is what you get. But my Facebook is held a little differently compared to my Instagram. I don't have any clients on my Instagram. I rarely have any real estate people on my Instagram. My Instagram is just me having fun and sharing memes and me at the gym or me with the kids, whatever it may be. But I do carry myself a different way from my Facebook to my Instagram because I've already identified my niche when it comes to my social media platforms is my Facebook, right? That's where I get a lot of my business from. Until this day, I get, referrals from people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I've never met in person till this day. And I think that a lot of that comes from, of course, staying relevant. I always talk about posting consistently, having something to post consistently to keep yourself relevant, right? So real estate agents, I'll even say this, you want to make sure that you are posting at least one post every single day when it comes to your social media so that you can stay relevant on a consistent basis. Having enough content to talk about on a consistent basis on your social media is key. When I got in real estate back in 2010, the saying was, there was about 4,500 realtors in San Antonio and surrounding areas. At that time, the saying was, everyone knows a real estate agent. And it was like, okay, cool. I wasn't too worried, even though I had a different mindset then. Everyone was my competition. I wasn't too worried about that. Now, fast forward 12 years later, we got over 17,000 licensed realtors in and around San Antonio. The talk isn't everyone knows a realtor anymore. It's everyone knows multiple realtors. So why are they going to choose you? Why are they going to hire you? How are you going to set yourself apart and stand apart from the average realtor? And so having those discussions, but also working on building rapport with your potential client is key to your success with running and having a sustainable referral-based business, especially as this market's tightening up. That's why I wanted to talk on these topics today, because this market's tightening up. And guys, y'all don't have to admit it. I see a lot of agents struggling right now. I see a lot of agents that are facing challenges because let's just admit it. The past 5 years, deals have been falling on our laps, right? And so now everyone's hitting the panic button because they're like, hey, what happened to the market? Rates gone up, value's gone up, affordability has gotten tighter. It's crazy to see that everyone's hitting the panic button. But honestly, guys, what's actually happening is we're stabilizing, we're normalizing, we're not going into recession. So make sure that you are cautious about that. We're not going into a recession. At least right now, we're not. Right? All it's doing is it's calming down. It's normalizing. And all that means for us real estate agents is you just actually have to work now, right? You have to actually earn that 3% commission or the bonus when you're doing a new home sale or whatever it may be. That hasn't been the case the past 5 years. Past 5 years, we're just writing up deals left and right. And now you just actually have to work. And the ones that are actually working and treating it like a normal 9 to 5, I'll tell you right now, those are the ones that are going to succeed in this business. Over the years, I've seen so many people get their real estate license and then quietly, I got to say that, I got to make sure to add that in there, quietly get out of the business, right? You're never going to get an announcement on social media from a real estate agent saying, hey guys, this business didn't work for me, so I guess I'll see y'all later. I'm going to go back to a 9 to 5. No, it's going to happen quietly, right? So that's why I wanted to pour in today and provide some strategies and tips for real estate agents to hopefully help save you from leaving and exiting the business and going to get a part-time or full-time job that doesn't involve selling real estate Because I'll tell you right now, I have personal friends that have gotten into real estate that are no longer in real estate, and they fall into a case of depression because they don't have the ability anymore to be in control of their schedule. Now they're back to working for somebody else. And I think for any entrepreneur, or I should say self-employed person, that's like the biggest fear we have, right? Is having to go back to a 9 to 5 where we now work for someone else, where we now answer to someone else, where we now get paid by someone else. So that's why I say things like that, guys, is if you can apply strategies and tips and constantly sharpening your sword with learning new ways to grow your business, that's the best way you can go about things. When I walk into listing appointments, hold up. My mouth gets dry because I'm talking so much with no guests today. But when I walk into a listing appointment, guys, I've already done my pre-listing questionnaire, right? On the initial phone call when I talk to the prospective client. And I've asked all the right questions, right? And when I go into my listing appointment, I already know why they're selling. I already know if they plan on buying. I already know where they're moving to. I already know what their time frame is. I already know, or I have an idea of how much they want for their home. I already know about the updates if they've had any in their home. I already know all those answers, right? And yeah, I do my CMA report, and then I go into my listing appointment, and we're going to talk numbers. Don't get me wrong. We're going to talk numbers. Because at the end of the day, that's what a seller cares about, is what kind of numbers you're providing. But also, my number one focus when I go into a listing appointment, guys, is how quickly can I build rapport with this person as quickly as possible, right? It isn't to talk numbers or just to talk numbers. It isn't to do this slide presentation of this formal presentation of, I'm your real estate agent and I'm number one and I've sold this many homes and I've gotten these awards. And no one gives a shit about that, right? Unless you're in the real estate industry. No one gives a shit about that. And so what potential sellers, when they're interviewing you, all they care about is, do they like you, right? And do they feel confident that you're going to best represent them and get the job done? So think about it that way. When you go into a listing appointment, you're being interviewed for a job. So treat it as such, right? I show up with my resume. I show up with references, with contact numbers, especially in my neighborhood. One of the biggest strengths, or I should say one of the biggest, advantages, and I should say secret sauce that I use is when I go into a listing appointment in my neighborhood, amongst other things, I show up with a reference sheet of every single person I've helped in my neighborhood with their contact information. And I tell that seller, here is the contact information from every single person I've helped here in my neighborhood. Feel free to reach out to any or all of them and they'll be able to vouch for me. And of course, that means I have to have that discussion with that person at the closing table when I'm helping them by telling them, hey, the best way you can help my business grow, especially in the neighborhood, is allowing me to use you as a reference. Your clients are always going to say yes to that, especially if you exceed their expectations, right? Which should be every real estate agent's goal. They're always going to say yes to that. So, and in most cases, guys, I'll tell you right now, when you provide that reference sheet, in most cases, they don't even call them. But it's still good ammunition to have to say, hey, this is for you. Feel free to call them, you know? I think a few times I've had once or twice where a past client has called me and said, hey, I got a call from, I guess, someone that may be hiring you, and they just wanted to make sure that you were legit. And so every now and then that might happen, but for the most part, guys, they don't call. They don't do their research. Most sellers don't do their research, unfortunately, right? Their research or their way of research is through Zillow. Right? The Zestimate, right? The infamous Zestimate. And so, you know, when these disruptors come into the industry, for instance, like Zillow, like Open Door, like, you know, OfferPad and all these companies that come into the industry, you know, I see agents hitting the panic button, right? And I've never panicked about those things because, yeah, they're a disruptor. Are they going to take a piece of the pie? They are. But there's enough business out for everybody. And so long as I know that if I work my database and just focus on my database, I'm going to be good. I don't give a shit who's in this industry. I don't care if we have, you know, 40,000 real estate agents here locally in this industry. It's not going to affect my business because I know that I just need to compete with myself by getting tighter and tighter on my database to make sure that I'm staying in front of my people, touching my people, loving on my people, leading with value, pouring into them, being a resource. That's all that matters to my business, not all the noise outside of that, right? That's why I've always said too, I don't give a shit who's president, right? When it comes to business, I don't give a shit who's president because it has nothing to do with my business, right? I've seen real estate agents over the years saying, oh, so-and-so just got elected. Our industry is going to go down the drain, or our business is going to tank. Guys, you're in charge of your own business. It doesn't matter who's running an office or who's controlling office. You're in control of your business. And when you start thinking positive instead of negative, or looking for excuses to pity yourself or to validate why your business has gone down, then you start walking down that wrong path. So when you start extracting positive thoughts and looking for positive things in any type of situation, now you're going to be leading down this path of positivity where it's like, man, nothing can disrupt my business, right? Nothing can take me out of this business other than myself if I stop working. So that's one thing that I would say too, guys, is getting to know your people, right? When I walk into my listing appointment, I'll give you an example. I had one, I think it was about 2 months ago. I think I've done about 7 or 8 sales already in my neighborhood this year. And 2 months ago, I had this listing appointment in the neighborhood. And I always start off, right? When I show up to my listing appointment, I always start off with, of course, introducing myself, giving them my business card. And then I always say, can we start off with you showing me around the home so that I can get familiar with your floor plan, right? So of course, I already know this floor plan because I did my research, right? So instantly, one of the first things I'll say is, oh, I know this floor plan. I've actually sold it 7 times in this neighborhood, right? I'm validating and reinforcing why I'm the man for the job, right? So of course that reaction from a seller, it's a blessing because now they're just like, holy shit, this dude not only has sold in our neighborhood, but he's sold the most in our neighborhood, but he's sold our floor plan like multiple times in the neighborhood. I mean, that makes it very difficult for any other agent that I might be competing with for the job to overshadow that, right? But I went into this listing appointment, mentioned that right away. Then in the formal living room, I see a family picture. I was just sharing this with my agents the other day in our training. I walk into the formal living room and I see a family picture with Pastor Ed from CBC, right? And I remember identifying that and saying, oh, y'all know Pastor Ed? And the clients look back at me and they're like, you go to CBC? And I'm like, yeah, I loved going to the 11:30 service or the 1:21 service, right? They're like, no way. Guys, within a minute of walking inside their home, we're already building rapport and we're relating to each other. We're finding familiarity with each other. And we just so happen to go to the same church. Coincidentally, we live in the same neighborhood. So it's kind of expected with CBC being just, I think, 2 exits away from my house. So it's little things like that where when you start building that rapport and getting to know someone on a personal level, they're going to fall in love with you, especially if you're genuine. I'll tell you right now, guys, that's the major key component out of this is you got to be genuine, got to be yourself. Don't be lying. Don't be faking who you are. It doesn't require you to, put on some cowboy boots and do some crazy stuff, where you're going to try to stand out. All people expect from you is just to be genuine, right? And be passionate about what you're talking about. And so I think that that's one of the most consistent compliments I get from my clients or from other people in the industry is I'm very passionate about what I talk about. I'm very authentic is what they say. So that's one of the first things I would say is be authentic, be yourself. I see a lot of agents stepping outside of their norm to try to be someone else that they're not. And it's not going to work ultimately, right? Or it's going to only work for so long. And at the end of the day, are you really going to be happy with yourself when you're trying to portray yourself or act like you're this completely different person when deep down inside, that's not who you are? So that's what I would say to real estate agents is be authentic, be genuine, but always, whether you're in your buyer consultation or your listing presentation, always be looking to relate to them as quickly as possible, right? I'll share another story with you. This one time, it was about 10 years ago. I got this client on social media too. So about 10 years ago, I was working with this young client. Mind you, 1-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and the 78247 zip code used to go for 120,000. Now average is 250 on up, right? So I remember I was showing this client homes. She brought her mom with her, and every home we would look at, the mom was just tearing it up, right? Tearing it up, saying how disgusting these homes were and how filthy they looked. And, I can never live in a home like this is what mom would say. And I stumbled across this and then realized what I did. But I was like, how do I win this mom over, right? Yes, my client is who my client is. That's my priority. But at the same time, how do I win over someone that plays an influence on my client, right? So sure enough, mom would even talk to me as if I was the enemy. I even had to tell her one day, look, I'm here to represent your daughter. I don't know these sellers, so I don't take offense to any kind of feedback or criticism you have to say about the homes we're looking at, because I'm here to represent your daughter. She is who I have my best interests on. And so sure enough, mom walks up one day and starts tearing up the property, right? And quickly realized, because even my client was countering her and rebuttaling her own mom by saying, Mom, I can't afford a $500,000 home like what you have. So right there, I identified that's why mom has these expectations of homes we're looking in, because she lives in a higher priced home, a more, let's say, quality home, a custom home. So she says to her mom, I can't afford a $500,000 home like the one you have. This is in my budget and I actually like it. So sure enough, mom shows up, right, to this property, and just unintentional at this moment, guys, but she shows up to a property and she's wearing a Spurs t-shirt. And I just simply ask, oh, are you going to watch the game tonight? Spurs were in the playoffs at this time. And I was like, you going to watch the game tonight? And she looks at me, she goes, you're a Spurs fan? I was like, yeah. And we start talking about Spurs, talking about all the traveling I've done to follow the Spurs in the finals when I flew out to Miami, and just started talking about all these things with the Spurs. From that one question of me asking her if she was going to watch the game tonight, 10 years later, the mom and I still chat about the Spurs. She'll still randomly text me from time to time and chat with me about the Spurs, right? And that's a really cool feeling to know that my client's mom 10 years later will still communicate with me just from that one question that I asked her unintentionally. Unintentionally, I asked her that one question, and I tore down her wall, that barrier that she had, maybe this perception she had of real estate agents or of me. And it was a blessing in disguise, because after that, I identified, not only do I need to focus on my client, but I need to focus on whoever the influence is on my clients when I'm working with clients. So of course, I always like to ask the question on the questionnaire before I meet with them for a consultation is there anyone that's going to be playing an influence on your decision? Especially if I've identified my client's a first-time buyer, a young professional, or young female or young male, young couple. There's always going to be that influence. It's usually mom or dad or an uncle, right? That let's just be honest, guys, they're the real estate experts, right? Because they've bought and sold a couple properties. So I want to identify who that influence is going to be, and then I want them front and center. I want them front and center because just as much as my client is my main focus and priority, I'm going to make that influential person to them even more of a priority for me, right? And so there was another time where I had passed on a client that I went to high school with, so I knew her since high school, passed on a client to my sister. My sister's a real estate agent. And passed her on to my sister. My sister was out showing homes and, asking my sister for an update. I was like, how are things going? She was like, dude, my clients are good, but the mom, she's tough. She keeps picking apart every property I show them. So I was like, well, if you need me to step in, let me know, but focus on the mom. And sure enough, she just wasn't breaking the mom. Mom would tear apart every property they would look at. And so I was like, you know what, let me step in. I know them. I helped them in the past with buying a home. And then we sold their home, and now they're buying, their next move up home. And so I was like, let me go do the showing. And so I met them at the property. Right away, I identify who mom is, right? Without meeting her before, I identify who mom is, because mom is just ready to give negative thoughts and negative comments towards the house we were looking at. And guys, I love rebuttaling. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love rebuttaling. I love negotiating. I love role playing. I love being put on the spot. Hence why I go live on my podcasts, right? But mom is like saying all these things in the property, and I'm just rebuttaling her, and I can tell it's getting under her skin. So I had to be a little careful with that because I didn't want to piss her off either. But sure enough, mom is walking around with grandson holding his hand, and grandson had a Astros hat, right? Which I'm an Astros fan. So I was like, hey, little man, I was like, you like the Astros? He doesn't even get to talk. Mom steps in the way and says, oh, my grandson's a pitcher. And I was like, really? That's awesome, man. And mind you, he was like 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. And I was like, that's awesome. I was like, man, I'm a big Astros fan. I used to play baseball growing up too. And we started talking about, I pitched for a little bit when I was growing up. Wasn't nearly as good as my sister in pitching, but pitched for a little bit growing up. And sure enough, from me asking the grandson that one question, the clients ended up buying that house. I'm not saying that's why they bought the house. I'm saying that I made my focus on grandma, the influencer for my clients. And once I poured into grandma or mom, it was a breeze. Now, all of a sudden, she starts agreeing with me on all the selling points that I was making about the home. And so it's crazy how someone's perspective can shift just by showing them attention, and whether loving on them, whatever it may be. So that's another thing I'll say to buyer's agents, guys, is find out who that influence is on your clients, because once you win them over, it's a breeze from that point. Once you win over that influence for whoever it is in your clients, now guess what? You got them on your side to help you sell the house, right? So that's another thing I would share with you guys is focus on the influence. Find out who that person is. Another thing that I would say, this is for brand new agents, because I hear from a lot of brand new agents, they don't know who to call. They don't know who to prospect. They don't know anybody, right? Start a VIP list. I'll tell you right now, all of us have a database right now, whether you pay for a CRM or not. All of us real estate agents have a database. Your database is the contacts on your phone, right? Let's just be real. That's your database. You got a bunch of contacts on your phone. I have over 3,000, I believe, contacts on my phone. So start shooting text messages or calling on them, right? But create a VIP list. And I'll tell you right now, let me make sure I'm not going over time. Damn. All right. So start a VIP list. And with this VIP list, what you want to do here is you want to identify the people that your family, friends, relatives, sphere of influence, past clients, current clients. You want to identify who are the people that if I pour into them and become intentional with my relationship with these people, who do I feel confident can be a raving fan for me, right? Who can be my army, my cheerleader, that when they're at work and they're having a conversation with a coworker, and that coworker's telling them, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a home in the next 6 months, or I'm thinking about selling my home next summer. Who are those people that I can identify, that I can trust, that if I become intentional with them and program them to suggest me, I need to identify who those people are, right? Because ideally, that's what I want. I want someone that's a raving fan, that's part of my VIP list, that is having that conversation at their work site and says, you know what? You need to call AJ. He's an amazing realtor. He's known in the industry for being one of the top agents, whatever it may be, right? But that's what you want to identify when you're creating a VIP list, is the people that are looking to see you win. Usually it's going to be your family, friends, relatives, sphere of influence, whoever it may be, but identify who those people are. I'll tell you right now, for brand new agents, the most people you want to have on there on that list, on this VIP list, 25 people, right? Do not go over 25 people. Even my top agents, right? Or top producers in the industry, I know a few of them that sell a ton of real estate, $40, $50 million in volume every year, that still only have a VIP list of 50 people, right? The reason why they keep that list tight though, is because those are the people that are constantly sending them referrals. Right. So now that I've identified who these people are that are in my VIP list, that I truly value and that I feel confident that if I work them and become intentional with them, these are the people that I know I can rely on to give me at least 1 or 2 referrals out of the year. Right. So think about it, brand new agents that are new to the industry. If you identify 25 people that want to see you win now that you're in this industry, focus on those people and love on them. Become a resource. Lead with value. I always refer to leading with value. You can call on your list and let them know, hey, I just want you to know that I'm restructuring my business, right? I want to become more intentional with the people that I know care about me. And so I've created what I call a VIP list. This VIP list is a detailed list of people that I know that I need to be doing a better job at building my relationship with, whether it's personal or business. I know that if I focus on being more valuable to you in your life, or being a resource in your life, I feel confident that you're going to reciprocate that by contributing to my business, by just simply saying, if you're having a conversation with someone at work, that you're going to refer my name or get me their contact information so I can reach out to them, right? So think about that, new agents, is if you get 25 people that you've identified with that, and you tell them, can I rely on you within the next 12 months to send me 1 or 2 referrals? Guys, that's 25 deals minimum. That's 25 deals minimum. You're at a 6-figure income already. With our price point, our commission structure here in San Antonio, 25 transactions, you're making a 6-figure income. It's not rocket science, guys. I think too many agents get wrapped up and consumed with the idea of, oh, I want to do 100 transactions a year or things like that. I get it. I was that agent too, right? That I was always shooting for high volume, high transaction count. Then I stopped caring about that, and I figured, you know what, let me focus, because of my coaching that I got in, that I was being coached and led to restructure my business. That's when I really started becoming more intentional with the relationships I was creating, and I stopped focusing on numbers. I started focusing on relationships. And sure enough, guys, I'll tell you right now, that's what creates a sustainable business for you. For as this market's currently tightening the way it is and it's getting more challenging, like I said, real estate agents are going to be exiting this business, and they're going to be quietly exiting this business. But the ones that are able to sustain and last in this industry are the ones that are relying on a referral-based business. They're working their database. They're calling on their database. They're pouring into their database. Those are the people that you're going to see succeed as this market tightens up, as we approach the fourth quarter, where traditionally it's known that the market slows down in the fourth quarter. I've had some of my biggest fourth quarters in my career. So I'll tell you right now, don't use those excuses to validate your reasons as to why you're not doing as good as you would have hoped, or maybe because you're not doing as good right now as you had planned. Look for reasons to take yourself to that next level. And always surround yourself with top producers, because I'll tell you right now, true top producers, they want to help you with nothing to gain out of it other than knowing that they helped you. So surround yourself with the right people in this industry, and they'll pour into you and help you grow your business. The importance of building relationships with builder reps, real estate agents. I'll tell you right now, I know that over the past couple of years, and it's softened up more recently this year, but over the past couple of years, there was a lot of battles going on between real estate agents and builder reps, right, that work for the builders. And I'll tell you right now, it's not these builder reps' fault, right? Whether they were cutting commissions or reducing commissions, just making it a lot more difficult for real estate agents. It's not the builder reps' fault, right? It comes from the top and it works its way down. And the way I see it is, I saw an opportunity. I have always seen an opportunity out of that, where I figured, you know what, let me look and identify where I can find a brand new sales rep that's new to the industry that I can pour into and help them grow their business. Instead of, let me find a builder rep that can help, give me leads or give me business. My first thought was, let me find and identify maybe someone that's new to the builder world, that's never sold homes before, that needs help now that they're in this industry, and maybe they're not getting enough training with the builder that they're working for. So let me become a resource to them, right? So ideally, I would look for newer sales reps. I always refer back to my buddy Daniel, who ended up being a blessing in disguise, one of my closest friends, Daniel reached out to me. He reached out to me through a DM on Facebook one day. And this is about 5.5 years ago. And he had told me, I'm new to the business. I'm just looking to build relationships with realtors. I wanted to see if I can have coffee with you or breakfast with you. Absolutely. We go and have breakfast, but I quickly identified this dude is new. I'm in this coaching program where I can pour into him and help him grow his business. So as much as he reached out to me to interview me to see if we could create a business relationship, I was doing the same with him. Once I sat in front of him, I started asking him questions and letting him talk. I found out what his personal goals in life were, right? And he shared those goals with me. And then I made it a point to tell him, your goals are now going to become my goals. I want to help you achieve those goals. He wanted to know what it was like to make a 6-figure income. He wanted to know, he wanted to experience being a homeowner and buying a home as a single father for his daughters, right? We related in so many ways because he was a single father as well to girls. He actually had custody of his girls though, but I made his goals mine. I was able to relate to him, where he shared with me a story that one time at one point of his life, he was homeless, sleeping on a bench at Travis Park. Like, those things stuck out to me in his story that I was able to relate to, that I quickly gravitated toward this guy. And what initially started off as a business relationship turned into a true friendship. And I started pouring into him, started giving him ideas on how to do follow-ups on realtors, how to reach out to realtors, which realtors to reach out to, what to look for in a realtor to be able to identify this is going to be a good business or not, right? A business relationship. So sure enough, long story short, 5.5 years later, ultimately the story gets a little sad, guys, because he did pass away last year. But he hit all his goals that he had set when he got in this industry. He started making a 6-figure income. He started making a 6-figure income. He was able to experience what buying a home was like, being a first-time buyer, buying a home for his daughters. He just started hitting all his goals. And I had a piece of that where it was an amazing experience. Ultimately, he chose me to be his realtor, which was a blessing as well. After all the business relationships he created with realtors, he ended up choosing me to be his realtor when he bought his home. I don't say this to brag, guys, but I say this as a point of why you should be reaching out to builder reps and identifying these opportunities. Is I closed over 42 transactions because of Daniel. And out of the 42 transactions that I closed, I never once gave him a client. The 42 transactions I closed through Daniel was because maybe a buyer walked in and didn't qualify. They got pre-approved, but maybe because of their debt to income ratio or their income, they didn't qualify for his product. So then I would ask them, well, what do you do with those buyers that qualify to buy a home, but they just can't afford your price point? Started giving them to me. All right. Then it was, Daniel, maybe these buyers would walk in and say, I want to buy this model home, but I need to sell my home first. Well, then what would he do? He would go and say, you need to talk to my boy, AJ. He's an amazing realtor. Trust me, you're going to want to work with him. He's great at selling homes. He's great at moving homes fast, quickly. And it was a really cool relationship that I created with Daniel where I was able to close so many transactions. And my way of adding value to him is by helping his business grow. That in itself overshadowed anything else that we had, and again, we created a bond, we created a friendship. And so it's opportunities like that you can create as a real estate agent when you're able to identify, how can I pour in and lead with value? Instead of leading with my commission check or what my commission check will look like, how can I lead with value and pour into someone and help them? Because if they win, I win, right? It's the same concept I share till this day. If they win, I win. By pouring into my real estate agents, if they win and they get sales, I win, right? So it's the same concept, but I would definitely recommend working on builder reps and identifying those opportunities, such as, this is another big mistake that a lot of real estate agents make. Probably the number one mistake that a lot of real estate agents make is being able to acknowledge the behavior when receiving a referral, right? I'll give you an example. My producer, Saulo, is here. Let's just say Saulo sends me his family member, right, that wants to buy a house, and I get the family member connected to my lender. And lender says, you know what, AJ, they got shitty credit. They're not going to be able to buy for another 6 months. Of course, we're going to get them in credit repair, whatever it may be. Where a lot of real estate agents mess up is they let that lead go, or they don't acknowledge the behavior. Guys, I'll tell you right now, I have to acknowledge the fact that Saulo sent me that family member, because that is more important to me and my business than the lead itself. Yes, the lead, if they qualify and I put them in a home, I'm going to make, anywhere from 6 to 12 to 15,000 on a commission check. But I would only make that check because Saulo sent me that lead, that family member. So yes, the lead is important, but the acknowledging the behavior is even more important, because if I acknowledge that behavior, guess what? I now get an opportunity to increase getting more business from Saulo, because now he starts seeing that I appreciate that he's helping my business. So I'll tell you right now, guys, that's what I would say to focus on, is whether it's a dead lead or a lead that's not ready to qualify or to buy a home or to sell their home, you need to acknowledge the behavior. That's much more valuable itself, is acknowledging the behavior when that situation happens. I also love keeping people that send me the business. So Saul sends me a referral, I get them qualified, they buy a home, we close on the home. In that process, I'm gonna keep Saul in the loop, right? I want him to know what's going on, and there's a good chance he wants to know what's going on, right? He wants to know that the referral he sent you actually worked and panned out, right? So once I get my lead qualified or talking to the lender, I'm gonna call Saul up and say, hey bro, I really appreciate you for contributing to my business. I just wanted to let you know I got so-and-so talking to the lender already, and we got a game plan going, and we're getting them set up. They're looking at a couple months out, but I'm updating him. I'm not giving him full details. I'm not gonna tell him what the credit score or anything like that looks like, but I'm updating him and letting him know where I'm at with this lead, because now he's gonna feel invested in this, right? He's gonna feel invested in knowing like, oh, I have a part in this, Let's just say that lead qualifies, and maybe I start having bad communication with that lead. He or she's not returning my calls as quickly as I need them to. They're ghosting me, they're going quiet on me. If I'm keeping Saul in the mix and letting them know updates of what's going on, now I know I can rely on Saul to reach out to them. Hey bro, I don't know what's going on with them, but they haven't been responding to my text messages. They haven't called me back. Just wanted to see if you can do me a favor and help me reach out. Well, because I was keeping him in the loop throughout the process, he already knows what he needs to talk about with them. And so that's where that help can come into play, because I kept them in the loop. So acknowledge the behavior, guys. That's much more valuable than the lead itself, is acknowledging the behavior so that you can continue to get those referrals from that person. And then of course, most importantly, put them in your VIP list, because now that I've identified that he's sending me referrals and he's not in my VIP list, you better believe I'm gonna remove someone. This is why I keep my list of VIP lists tight at 50 people, because if I have someone in my 50 VIP list that hasn't sent me any referrals, maybe it's been 2 or 3 months and I'm working them, I'm being intentional, and they're not getting it. They're not grasping it. They're not sending me referrals. Then I'm gonna remove them from my VIP list and add him in there. That's what I'm referring to about keeping your list in your database, your sphere, your VIP list, keeping it tight, right? Keeping it tight with people that you can rely on to help you sustain throughout this market, what's going on with your business. Then of course, thank you cards, guys. Thank you cards go a long way. Handwritten thank you cards. I'll tell you right now, Solo sends me the lead. I get them talking to the lender. My next step after I talk to Solo and update him as to what's going on with the lead, I'm hanging up and I'm writing him a handwritten thank you card. I throw my business card in there, and I throw in there a $1 scratch-off lottery ticket. I'll tell you right now, one of the most common gifts we get as realtors from other industry partners is Starbucks gift cards. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm not a big Starbucks drinker, so usually in most cases when I get those gift cards, I just throw them in a thank you card and send them off to someone else. I'm just being honest. I'd rather be much more, use a much more affordable route, especially if I'm a brand new agent with a tight budget. I'd rather go buy 100 $1 scratch-off lottery tickets, use them in my thank you cards, so that way I can at least acknowledge the behavior, I can show some appreciation, and there's a little token for him for doing that, right? Let's say that I get the lead and we convert it, we put it in contract, we close. Now I made a $9,000 commission from the lead that Solo sent me. Now it's time to get Solo a little bit more of an expensive gift. Now I'm gonna be more intentional, and I'm gonna call Solo up. Hey bro, I just wanted to let you know that I just closed on so-and-so today. Bro, I really appreciate you for contributing to my business. I wanted to see if you'll be home on Saturday afternoon anytime between 3 and 5 p.m. I wanted to come by and drop off a gift personally to you. Personally, don't hire a service, guys. When this situation happens and you close that deal and you make a big commission check, you need to personally go out of your way and go show how much you appreciate that person for sending you the referral by giving them a more expensive gift. So now that I closed the deal and I made $9,000, I'm probably gonna spend a couple $100 on Solo and get him something that I know he likes, right? Now, yes, we know that, that there is a $50 gift card max. I'll be honest, guys, in the past, I've been known to share just a little bit more than that to show my appreciation on that. So that's something I would recommend. The next thing that is crucial to your business, especially your VIP list, once you have identified who these people are, is getting all your clients, your VIP list, your sphere, your database to fill out the All About You form. The All About You form is a very crucial weapon to your success in this business. It helps you identify and get to know someone more on a personal level as well. But on the All About You form, you have them fill it out, usually in the buyer consultation, in the listing presentation, or even if someone's sending me a referral, I'll send it to them and have them fill it out, right? But the All About You form, it's their birthday, their spouse's birthday, their anniversary, their kid's birthday, their kids' names, their favorite restaurant, favorite hobbies, favorite movie, favorite sports team, favorite kind of music. I want to know all of that information, and then most importantly, I want to program it into my calendar, right? Once I program those dates into my calendar, instead of me calling on Solo a year later, 2 years later and saying, hey bro, do you know 1 or 2 people that are looking to buy or sell a home? Instead of making those kind of phone calls, I'd rather be making phone calls like, hey bro, remember when you filled out my All About You form? I understand that I have it programmed in my phone that it's your son's 4th birthday today. And I just wanted to call and wish your son a happy 4th birthday. Oh, by the way, are you gonna be home today between 5 and 7 p.m.? Cool, man, I'm gonna have some Tiff's Treats be delivered for your son's birthday, some fresh hot cookies be delivered for his birthday. I maybe spent $20 for that delivery, right? $20. And here's where a lot of agents mess up. They get their head wrapped around too much of how much they're spending on the gift. Don't worry about that, guys. Most cases, these people do not care about how much money you're spending. It's the thought that counts. It's not the cost of the gift. And so I can spend something as little as $20 on my friend's son's birthday, and acknowledge their birthday, I'll tell you right now, you can forget everything else on the All About You form, but the most important ones are the kids' birthdays. Ideally, if you can remember their birthday, it's better, but their kid's birthday, because think about it. If you acknowledge someone's kid's birthday, I don't know about you, but when you acknowledge my kid's birthday, you just won me for life, right? Forget my birthday. My birthday is actually coming up in 3 weeks. Forget my birthday. But if you acknowledge my kid's birthday, which is coming up in 4 weeks, you just won me for life. That's meaningful to me, that you went out of your way to acknowledge my kid's birthday, and you didn't have to do that. That's how you win loyalty. That's how you win people for life, where now you get an opportunity to become the realtor for the family, right? So it's little things like that you can do. Of course, once I closed that deal, now that I got Solo to fill out the All About You form, maybe he mentioned that his favorite restaurant is Benihana's, or Benihana's not even around anymore. Bohannon's, that's my favorite steak joint. Maybe he mentioned that Bohannon's is his favorite steak joint on the All About You form. Now I might be spending a couple $100s to get him a Bohannon's gift card instead of a gift card of a restaurant that I like, or giving him a bottle of wine. Maybe he's practicing sobriety, and I got him a bottle of wine, which is what a lot of real estate agents tend to do for closing gifts. But you didn't know because you didn't ask the right questions to understand that, hey, he's been sober for the past 5 years, right? So be careful with that. Become intentional with it. The All About You form can go a long way for your business, guys. And it creates an opportunity to have a reason to call somebody, right? Oh, the other important date that I was referring to on there, it's funny, but it's so true, is the anniversary. Think about it. I will purposely schedule the anniversary on my calendar when they fill out the All About You form for the day before. And then what do? I call the husband. I call the husband on this. Check this out. So there's been twice in my career, there's been twice that I can think of where I've purposely scheduled to call them the day before their anniversary to wish them a happy anniversary, and I call the husband. And there's been twice where I've had the husband say, man, I completely forgot. Thank you so much for reminding me. Think about it, guys. People have been married for 10, 20, 30 years. It's just natural that they tend to forget, especially the men. Us men forget things. I'm so forgetful. Anyone that knows me closely knows I am probably the most forgetful person. So they forget things. And when you now lead with value and call and remind someone and tell them, hey, just want to wish you a happy anniversary, you're pouring into them, and you're now becoming a resource. You're now becoming someone that's able to show that you actually care. I mean, that's how you win people over for life. That's how you create a sustainable referral-based business, is by showing that you actually care instead of leading with how much money can I make out of this conversation, right? So think about those things, guys. Coffee meetings. I'll tell you right now, coffee meetings, man, we're going over this. Coffee meetings with potential business partners, and then setting the right expectations, right? So guys, I got lenders every freaking day calling me. I got title companies reaching out to me, DMing me. I got, especially now with the brokerage, because they want to come in and talk in front of the agents. Everyone gets offended though too, because I don't even handle that. I always tell them, call my office manager, she'll put you on the calendar. I don't handle that. But whenever someone reaches out to me and wants to take me to lunch, I don't do lunches, guys. I'll tell you right now. I'm not going to spend 2 hours to possibly figure out at the end of the lunch that we're not compatible. We're not going to do business together. We don't mesh well, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to spend 2 hours to find that out. I'd rather do coffee. Let's go spend 30 minutes. We can have some cup of coffee. We can talk business and figure out if this is a good opportunity for us to create a reciprocal type of business, right? Or better yet, come to my office. You want to meet with me? Come to my office. You can come sit down with me and we can talk in my office, because I got shit to do, right? I got meetings, I got trainings every day. I got shit to do. So I'll tell you that whenever you meet with someone too, which new real estate agents, you need to be meeting with lenders. You need to be meeting with your title companies, your home warranty, your insurance, your roofing companies, all these trades that you can be a resource to your clients and refer. You need to be meeting with these people to create not just create an expectation, but identify if this is a good potential business relationship that we can create, right? And when you're meeting with them, you need to hold firm and be confident when you say it that, look, I'm looking to find a roofer that I can do business with, that I can refer to my clients whenever they're looking for a roofer. But I need to know right now though, that if I'm sending you my business and referring my clients to you, that I can rely on you to get at least 1 or 2 referrals out of the year, and that you're going to do the same for me. All right? Because I want to know that if I'm going to be giving you my clients and my business and opening you up to my database, I need to know that you're going to do the same for me. If you can't commit to that, then I'm sorry, we're just not a fit, right? I got lenders all the time that are calling me and my real estate agents and telling them, oh, well, we'll help you with Zillow. We'll give you $1,000 a month to help you with Zillow leads. Fuck that. I don't want Zillow leads. I want your referrals. That lender that's wanting to meet with me and give me Zillow money to help me with Zillow, which mind you, I haven't marketed on Zillow in over 8 years. Still have a profile on there, but I don't pay. I still get leads from there, but I don't pay for it. But I'd rather that lender say, you know what? I promise you, I'll give you 1 or 2 of my friends, family, relatives in my sphere, so long as you're giving me business. If a lender tells me that, now you got my attention, right? Now you got my attention. Because now once I've identified who all my potential business partners are, whether it's my lender, title company, home warranty, now that I've identified that and I've got them to commit to giving me 1 or 2 referrals a year, and that's just from my business partnerships, now I got to work on my sphere, my database, my family, my friends. Guys, this is how you create a business that's built to last, is by creating those relationships, having those conversations where now you don't have to worry about finding your next deal. We're relying on a Zillow lead that if you don't show them in 30 minutes on a Sunday afternoon, that they're gonna walk away and go to another realtor, right? Or you don't have to worry about a client that's gonna ask you to cut your commission to sell their home because this other realtor was willing to do it for 1%, right? Referrals don't ask for that. Referrals respect your time, especially if you tell them you have a family. They respect your time and they respect your commission. They never ask you to cut your commission. So that's what I would say to focus on, guys, when it comes to building your relationships. Guys, we're well over, so I'm gonna spin one more nugget with y'all and then we're gonna wrap it up. But one thing I wanna end with is when you're working, I'll give you one for FSBOs, right? For sell by owners. Let's just say a for sale by owner, obviously they're not using a realtor to sell their home because they don't want to pay the commission, right? Maybe they're confident that they can sell the home on themselves, right? Because of how hot the market's been. The market's shifting for everybody, including for sale by owners. This is a perfect opportunity for you to get yourself in front of a for sale by owner, which I can share talk-offs with you on that as well, what kind of talk-offs to use. But ultimately, your goal, a non-committal, making them feel like they're locked in type of agreement is, a lot of real estate agents go out there and say, give me 3 months of a listing agreement, give me 6 months, give me a year. I'll even tell sellers, if you have another agent that I'm competing with that's saying they want a 1-year listing agreement, that's a red flag in itself. No one needs a year to sell a house, right? So understand that. But when I've talked to for sale by owners, I'll tell them straight up, give me 30 days. Give me a 30-day contract. If I can't show you that I can get your home sold within 30 days, I'll fire myself, right? Because ultimately, if I haven't sold that home in 30 days, there's a good chance I don't even want that listing anymore because there's something wrong with it. Whether there's something wrong with the home or maybe the seller's just being stubborn. They don't want to get back to market value on their price, to where at that point it's a waste of my time. So maybe suggest a 30-day listing agreement. I'll tell you right now, we did this with one of my agents that's on a team in my brokerage. I went with her to a listing appointment and she got a listing because we offered a 30-day listing agreement. And I told my agent, even if you don't get the home sold in 30 days, show them your work, show them that you're trying, show them that you're putting in the effort, right? Show them your marketing strategies. So that way they see that you're at least putting in effort. I'll tell you right now, if you show all those strategies or all those things, by the end of the 30 days, if you haven't sold the home, there's a good chance they're gonna be willing to extend that with you, right? And make it another 30 days. Actually, I think this one extended they turned it into a 3-month contract because they were so happy with her efforts. And ultimately, she got the home sold. So this is an opportunity to get your foot in the door where a seller, a for sale by owner, feels less obligated to feel locked in with the real estate agent, is by saying, just give me 30 days and then do the work. That's the other thing as a real estate agent. If you're gonna sign a 30-day listing agreement, you gotta put in the work. You gotta start going immediately with getting that home sold. So, guys, I have like 2 more pages that I could have gone over with you, but obviously, as expected, we ran out of time. I want to thank y'all for tuning in today. I'm going to do another follow-up on this one soon. It's not going to be over the next 2 weeks because I have guests coming in, but I'm going to do another follow-up and add some more tips. I enjoy this, and I enjoy talking about myself, to be honest. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate y'all for joining me this morning and tuning in. Provide some feedback and give me your thoughts. So I really appreciate that as well. Thank you, though. Every Wednesday morning, we're on 7 a.m. Real estate agents, real quick, I got to plug in real quick. Real estate agents here in San Antonio, our property manager, Vera, with Freedom Property Management, has a happy hour tomorrow at Walk-Ons. We're giving 2 free drink tickets for every real estate agent. There's going to be some giveaways. So come and show up and hang out with us at Walk-Ons tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. for a real estate happy hour. And then also, I got to share one more thing for y'all. Real estate agents, we have this thing called First Fridays. Every First Friday at First Choice, we do an event in the parking lot, right? We do a movie event, family-oriented, family movie. We have a 20-foot inflatable movie screen that we do, where we just invite the community. We tell our sphere, our family, our friends, hey, come, bring the kids. We provide food. We get food catered. We provide food. Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because our next First Friday event, guys, I want it to be the biggest one that we've ever had, right? I want to see that whole parking lot full. And I'm opening this up to real estate agents with different brokerages. You do not have to worry. I don't recruit. I'm telling you right now, I do not recruit. You do not have to worry about showing up and me cornering you and saying, oh, do you want to join us? I don't do shit like that, right? So all I'm saying is I want to see that this event is full, especially because it falls on my birthday. October 7th at First Choice Realty, 970 Isom Road. We're going to be doing a Hocus Pocus movie on the big screen, and then we're also going to be providing food free to everybody. We're gonna have a moon bounce. We're gonna have a Halloween costume contest. We're gonna have a trunk or treat going on. So if you're a vendor in the real estate industry and you wanna join in on this trunk or treat, reach out to me and I'll get you connected with my office manager, Jackie, and we'll get you set up. So again, guys, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you for holding on for me. We went well into the hour, so I apologize for that. I hope that y'all have a blessed day. Be ready for next Wednesday. I'm super excited to have my guest, Blanca Abud, on the podcast, a very successful businesswoman that's going to talk about not only what got her to become successful, but how she's been able to maintain her level of success year after year and stay as a top producer in her line of business that she's currently in. So be ready to look at that one on next Wednesday live. But y'all make it a blessed one. Have a good one, y'all.